Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It is another rainy day today, and I'll start today's video with some updates to my Ficus religiosa. I last worked on these trees just over a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, and I did a different operation to each one. With my largest Ficus religiosa, I defoliated it and then pruned the branch structure. Let's go back in time and have a look at that video. I need to defoliate the tree so I can get a good look at all the branch structure and make good pruning decisions. So here I go. So I'll just cut the leaf petiole in about half, removing all the old leaves. Here's a look at the tree now without any leaves. It always looks nice without any leaves. You can see the structure. So there's that tall leader going up here that I've just got to knock back. It's just too dominant, and I want to kind of grow, more of a umbrella shaped canopy on it, keeping all my vertical kind of trunks or branches kind of an equal vigor and thickness. So it's just getting too out of hand, that one. So I'll have to prune it back. This is also a bit of a Hail Mary cut. So here I go, right here. Here I go. Done. What a nice cutting though. Holy. I'll plant that as a cutting for sure. Here's an overall look at the tree. I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. So here I go. Here is the tree today, about 5 weeks later. Let's go in and see what buds have developed on the branches. The tree is just starting to put out the first leaves after the defoliation and pruning. Here's a look at one of the tiny leaves that's just forming. See how small it is. I cut off that thick branch that was growing upright, and I got 2 buds on it, both fanning outwards, which is really nice. It seems every branch responded really well to the pruning. Lots of new shoots, so that'll be exciting when the leaves come out more. The next tree I worked on was my medium-sized Ficus religiosa. I repotted it from a 3D printed pot, which was getting small, into a shallow oval clay pot. Let's have a look at that. Underneath that 3D printed pot, I've got a Japanese clay pot that I'm going to repot it into. All right, here I go on the root pruning. So in this area, I don't have a lot of roots. All right, here I go positioning the tree in the pot. So this is the front of the tree. At the nice root base, the main trunk comes forward. So if I have it here, kind of leaves a lot of empty space in this area. I think because it leans to the left, I want it towards the right in the pot. So I'm going to put soil in around the roots now. Just coming up front, having a look at it again. Here is the tree today now, 5 weeks later. It has new growth coming up on the top of it, and I can see roots growing across the surface of the soil, so that's good. I'm going to leave it a little while longer, and then I can rake some of that surface soil away, remove my rocks, and kind of expose a bit more of the root base. So I think that'll look quite nice. With my medium-sized Ficus religiosa, there was a small cutting growing in the pot, and I repotted it into one of Isabella's pots. And you can see now there's a root growing out of the soil across the surface, and there's some coming out the bottom drainage holes also. There's no new growth on the tree yet, but I'm sure that'll come soon. The last tree I worked on was my tiny Ficus religiosa. I did some major root work on it. Let's go have a look at that. I checked back in the videos, and it has been 5 years since I repotted this tree, which I can't believe, but it has. It kind of curves about here, so I think I'm going to prune it off right here. So here I go. Just like that. Here's a look at the tree, and I think this will be the front. I'm just pushing on that root on the bottom, which is completely filled the drainage hole. So that looks good. You can see how the surface roots would spread out kind of in a radial pattern around the root base. My plan is to take the cuttings that I took off of this tree once they root, and I'll plant it into Gary's pot, so it'll be generation 2 in the pot. That'll be kind of cool. Here's Wally reunited with his tree, together once again. Here is the tree today, and as you can see, it leafed out really nicely after the defoliation and repotting. So I'm really happy with it. It's survived and the health looks really good on the tree. It looks really vigorous in the new pot. My little Ficus religiosa here is getting very old. It's, I think, around 24, maybe 25 years old now, and I've kept it small all its life. I did take a big cutting off the top of the Ficus religiosa, the large one, and there's no activity on it yet, but it's not shriveling up and dying either. So I'm hoping that grows. That'll be a really nice cutting, and it's way back in there somewhere. That was an update to all the Ficus religiosa bonsai that I have on the go, and now it's back to work on the greenhouse. I was out working on the greenhouse this morning, and I removed all the old putty that was still on the greenhouse. I had a strip along the bottom here and some up the back wall. So that's completely stripped of the old putty now. So now I've got to clean all those channels with a rag and some Varsol, just so it's a good surface to put the new putty on, and then clean up all the windows, which is a lot of windows to be cleaning. I'm going to finish up the front of the greenhouse. I've got the glass in above here, so I just need the paint in here, up here, and on the other side of the door, and that'll complete the front, and then I can mount the sliding doors to it before I continue on around the sides and the back. I've got all the glass for the front of the greenhouse out, 2 rectangular panes and 2 triangular panes, so I got to get them all cleaned up. It takes about half an hour per pane of glass. So the Varsol gets the putty off, and then I have to wash them with soap and water to get all the, algae and mildew off. I've got the putty off this pane of window, so next I've got to wash it with soap and water and then dry it off, and it'll be ready to install. Okay, that looks good. I'll set it aside for the final drying. Go on to the other windows. I've got all the glass for the front wall all cleaned up, so now I've got to prep all the framework, make sure it's nice and clean, add the putty, and then put the windows in place. I'm all ready to put the glass in, but everything's wet. We had rain in the morning and it's starting to spit a bit now, and I don't want to put the putty in wet tracks, and the windows, they haven't dried properly. They're still damp, so I'd rather wait for a dry day so I can put everything in properly. Tomorrow is supposed to be sunny, so I think I'll resume on the greenhouse then. I'm going to finish off today's video with some work to the French lilac. Here's a look at the French lilac now. I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. The biggest change on it is the addition of this new shoot that shot up from the base here and got that tall since June. Here's a close-up of that new branch coming out there. So I didn't want branches that low on the tree. I wanted my branching to start up here, so you've got a bit of trunk. So that one is going to come off. That'll be the first operation for today. I'll roughly prune it off at first, coming in with my bypass pruners and taking it off like that. And then I'll work on cleaning it up. That should do it. You can see the trunk is getting some nice character down here. That split that was in the trunk is kind of healing over even more. Yeah, it's looking good. In June, I pruned this branch here to 2 horizontal leaves, and I did get a new shoot, but it shot skyward instead of growing out kind of more horizontally. So I'll just prune it off to the first set of leaves, and we'll see what happens there. Also in June, I pruned this branch off here, and I got 2 new shoots each side of it, and again they shot quite vertical. So I'll remove the old stump of the branch here. These lilacs have tough wood. There. I'll also prune those new branches back to the first set of leaves, so taking the tips off them like that. I have a branch down below which is a new one. It just sprouted in. I don't think I want it because I've got a branch here and one here, and it's just an extra branch in that area which will make it'll thicken this area up, and I'll get a bulge or maybe inverse taper. So off it comes like that. There's a dead branch here I can remove like that. Everything else is looking quite good on the tree. It just needs to be shortened to make it more compact. So I will do that. I'll take the tips off some of these branches. There's a dead vertical branch here I can remove. Like that. Reduce the height down. And then there's some leaves kind of towards the inside that are blocking some of the light getting off to the trunk area here. So I'll remove those, some of the older leaves. And I think that's it. The cuttings that I took off this tree in the summer rooted, and I gave them away. I'm not going to try rooting these cuttings because it's too late in the season. So next time I go to prune the tree, I'll propagate some more cuttings off of it. I'm quite sure the front of this lilac will change over the years as it develops, but I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all views. So here I go. I'll take the card out. My spinning tree bonsai turntable is indoors. That's why I'm using the old ones. I think it'll be really cool having a lilac bonsai, especially when it flowers. I'm hoping the weather is a little nicer tomorrow so I can get back to work on the greenhouse. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.